going to get buried. Maybe 2 to 3 people are going to get buried.
That's a really good point.
100%.
But it's a good problem to have. Like, iron sharpens iron. Like, it's good to have this kind of depth where you're not just having, you're like, we're out of guys. Like, we don't really have another option here. Like, there's going to be some good players who are buried on the bench when Tennessee gets rolling. And I'm just very curious to see who ends up being those guys. Olivier Nkamhoua, though, ends up at Michigan. A lot of folks thought he was going to end up overseas, if anywhere. Kind of surprising. Michigan, I don't think is going to be very good next year. So it's probably, I don't know if that's better for him, that he's going to have more opportunities to do a lot more, kind of replacing that Hunter Dickinson role for the Wolverines. But I don't know, Ethan, do you like the fit for Olivier at Michigan, or do you think this is probably not going to go well in his final year of college basketball?
Michigan was like spot number 1 for him, if not overseas, at the very beginning of his recruitment. And then they kind of died off, and it was Baylor and West Virginia. And then Michigan out of nowhere, like a week ago. I guess he had an official visit there or something. Michigan came out of nowhere and was back in contention, and then he was committed like the next day. So I think that has something moreover to do with starting and playing time, because I don't think at West Virginia and Baylor he was going to, he was probably going to come off the bench / be the 5th guy that started on the floor. And you're going to have a Michigan post Hunter Dickinson, and you're going to have, I don't know everything about their roster, but I know they lost a lot, and I know they're probably not going to be fantastic. You can't quote me on that because I just don't really know what they have around him. I haven't looked that much into Michigan lately. But it's if he can't get his original goal of going and, I don't know, playing overseas or playing just a professional career in general, it's not a bad place for him, because he's run out of time in college. You want to start. You don't want to go back and do the same thing you would have done at Tennessee, or take a step back from what you would have done at Tennessee. He was starting this past season, so you don't want to go to West Virginia and all of a sudden be, the 6th man at a Big 12 school where the schedule is considerably harder than it is in the SEC. So it's a good place for him. As far as do I know if it's going to be a perfect fit for him, or if he's going to light the world on fire, or if he's going to falter out, I really couldn't tell you, because I just don't know much about Michigan's roster and what they're doing at the moment.
Ryan, what do you think? What's your gut tell you? Does he ultimately work out at Michigan or no?
My gut tells me he'll be at Michigan a lot like he was at Tennessee. Some really good games, a lot of inconsistencies, never fully put it together. So that's my thought. Again, I don't have the expert opinion on what his fit's like at Michigan. But what I will say about the Olivier Nkamhoua transfer portal process, and I'm taking off, that's why I like coming on the podcast, I'm taking off my Big J hat here. This is not inside information. This is speculation, but past speculation. I think this is pretty well-informed speculation. Maybe not well-informed, but accurate. What he did really well, because the way, my understanding, I think Barnes said something like it in the press conference, is that when he entered the portal originally, the plan was to go play overseas, but his dad wanted him to enter the portal. And then he just laid low for about a month. Laid low, went on, I guess, a couple visits, didn't make any decision, and he let everybody in the transfer portal, just about everybody, make their decision. And then he sat back there and waited, and he waited, and he waited, and teams got desperate. And I think he got a bag because of it, to be frank with you. I think he significantly increased. Again, that's all speculation. I think he significantly increased his NIL opportunities by waiting for teams to get a little desperate, or teams that needed pieces and were willing to spend a little over what his production probably will be. And I think you saw the perfect example of this was, I guess, I don't know, all the days are running together with baseball, but earlier this week, after his Michigan visit, all the On3 people and Trilly Donovan and Andrew Slater, all of the Twitter experts on college basketball recruiting, Olivier Nkamhoua's down to 2 schools, West Virginia and Baylor. A day later, Michigan's back in the hunt. A day later, he commits to Michigan. I'm no genius. I'm not a world-renowned educated person, but those feel like pretty easy dots to connect, and a pretty darn good job by Olivier Nkamhoua and his family of playing the game and maximizing his potential.
I wish him nothing but the best, but I love that theory that he got the bag, and that it actually worked out, because the general consensus is like, you want to get in the boat, you want to make a commitment early before time runs out and spots are filled and everything else, but actually waiting for a Caleb Love to not come through Michigan, and just kind of buying your time and seeing which big program, big blue blood gets desperate enough, and you just kind of slide right in. So that if that is indeed what happened, good for him.
And it's hard to get good big men in Portland. There just aren't that many of them. And Olivier was always good enough of a player.